Hey y'all, you're watching Portie's Garage. Today we're going to try and get the window on this 83 Mustang working just like it came from the factory. Got a couple of different things we're going to try out and let's see what we can do. We're going to start by getting this door panel off so we can access the interiors of this door and start working on the window components. It's just a bunch of Phillips screws and two 10mm bolts. For whatever reason, this trim piece is not going to give, so I'm going to see if I can get it off in the back end. Next step is we're going to use our trim puller tools and start pulling all of the push pins that hold this door card on. You want to be careful because this door card is made out of like a cardboard, hardboard type of material, so it's not super strong. You start yanking at it, you might actually rip the push pin through the door card material. So I'm going to try and look in here, see where I can see them, and then I'll start popping them off that way. Now that you get all the push pins out, what you do is just kind of lift it up and pull it out. Let's see how that goes. And there you go. So now we got the door card hanging right here. We need to get these switches out. It's actually pretty easy. It's just 4 clips. 1, 2, 3, 4 that hold them in. So we'll just pop those out. We can take this door card, set it aside, and get down to business. Now we have a very old, very weathered vapor barrier away. I'm just gonna rip this thing off. I put a new one in on the other side and this isn't doing much good for anyone. Here are the parts we're gonna be putting in. We got a window motor and then we also have some guide rod bushings. I guess these bushings go bad and then the guide rod tends to wobble around. That might be why you saw that quick jump in the middle of the window going down. So we'll see if this does the trick. Before I go ahead and remove the window motor, something I learned when I did the passenger side the hard and scary way is that these are supposed to have a stopper. So when you remove the motor, the window doesn't come crashing down. Apparently that one didn't work. I don't know. If you have a coupe or a notchback or hatchback, it's pretty easy. You can just tape the window to the top of the door. But as you can see, there is no trimmer on this window. So I jammed a little trim clip in here. Hopefully if it falls, this will catch it and keep it from almost tearing my hand off. Getting the window motor out of this door is actually a pretty easy process. It's going to be located right up here in the front. And all we got to do is remove 3 bolts. 1, 2, and the third one's hiding in here. These are just regular old 8mm. So let's get this puppy out. And that sound you just heard is the window motor falling to the bottom of the door. Here we are. Looks a little old. Let's see how the new one handles. Before we put the new window motor in, I'm also mentioning those bushings. You can see one of them right here in this plate type area, and the other one, I don't know if I can get an angle on it, one is just right above that. That'll allow us to take this rod out, put the new bushings in, we'll grease the rod up, hopefully have the smoothest running window this side of the Mississippi. The window guide rod is held on by 2 bolts, one right here, the other one's right underneath the bottom of the rod. So let's take these off. Now to get the rod actually out of this, we're gonna have to bring this window down. So I'm gonna remove my little holder piece here and just carefully let it sink down to the bottom. Wish me luck. Now, getting this rod guide out, actually pretty tricky. My best advice, take your time, don't break anything, and just wrestle with it. It's gonna be a bear, but you'll eventually get it. I think I found my trick. Having a real hard time, but I do have this jack handle. And what's important about this is it's got a nice rubber coating here, because I am kind of prying up against this window and I really don't want to break anything. So stick it in here and I'm going to push away from the window, try and separate this as much as I can, and then I should be able to lift the rod right out. And there you have it. We got the rod out. So here's a closer view of our bushings. We've got bushing number 1, bushing number 2. Here's a little comparison to the old versus the new. I am not an expert on window guide rod bushings. These are my first ones, but they feel, I don't know, like old plastic. Time to fish this window back up, pop in our new bushings. And bushing number 2. Easy as something that isn't that easy. So now we got our guide rod out. I don't know if you can see, but it doesn't have a lot of grease on it. It's pretty dirty. So first thing I'm gonna do is clean it up. And second thing I'm gonna do, this is supposed to be felt right here. Or it once was, I guess. Now it is just metal rubbing on my window. So I'll try and show you. I got some marks where this drags on. So I'm gonna put some new felt on here. Just do a whole refurb. Here are the scratches I was talking about. As much as I tried, I can't get them out. I think they're just there with the car now, but we'll do our best to try not to add any in the future. Some of this old grease is kind of hard to get off. I guess that's what happens when it sits in a car for 40 years, so gotta do a little scraping. There you go, nice smooth rod. For the replacement felt, I'm going with the heaviest duty felt I could find at my local craft store. We'll see. Now that I have my guide rod professionally refelted, time to lube it up. I'm gonna be using this white lithium grease. Pretty much you're just going to make sure you cover the whole rod. That way it's got nice, smooth, frictionless rubbing mechanisms. All right, let's get this sucker back in the car. Just to give you a view at what I'm struggling with so much, it's getting this bottom bushing in. Just can't seem to get it lined up. It's a struggle, but you know, we don't do things because they're easy. We do things because we thought they would be easy. All right, quick update here. I did get it through both of them. What I had to do is I had to end up loosening this top one, so I got a little maneuverability. But now the issue is trying to get the bottom into the bolt hole. So back to the struggle. Not gonna lie, there were a couple moments where I thought this was never going to get back together, but we've got our top bolt in and we've got our bottom bolt in. So putting the new window motor in. Hopefully this is a lot easier than those guide bushings. But one thing I noticed with this new motor is it just gave me kind of a crimped end here. So I'm gonna cut off the old connector from the old motor, splice them together. We'll be able to plug in, slap this baby in, and then we'll be ready to cruise with the windows down. We got our new motor prepped. Let's put it in. First thing you're going to want to do is fish these wires in through the access point. And you're going to want to be careful because there are a lot of moving pieces in here, seeing as the window does go up and down. So make sure you're not putting the wires anywhere where they might get chopped. There we go. Just pull it through a little more, just so we know we're not getting anything in the way. Okay. And now we're just gonna line the motor up with our old bolt holes here. Actually, before that, I'm gonna get my socket ready. Okay. Don't lose your bolts. All right. It's really fun because you can't see what's going on in here. You gotta rely on your other senses. Mostly smell, not really. So I got it right about where I need it, but for whatever reason, it's not grabbing into the gears. There we go. All right. It's interesting. Let me show you something here. So we've got bolt number 1, bolt number 2, but it's not really helping. Bolt number 3, it's not lining up. Kind of strange. I bought this from Rock Auto, should have been right, but let's just give it a shot and see if it works anyway. Here goes nothing. Looks like we got a moving window. Woo! Last thing I need to do, since I loosened the part of the guide rod where this bushing goes, I'm gonna need to realign it. So let's push it back into place and get her torqued down. And make sure this guide rod is nice and sturdy. Actually, no, that's not where it was. And the bottom one is non-adjustable, so I don't need to worry about lining anything up on this. Voila! Gonna clean all the grease and fingerprints off of this thing, throw a little more lube on the rod. And here's the moment of truth. Will it close? Woo! Absolutely beautiful. No more chop coming up and down. It'll fully close on its own without having to open the door. I think we're gonna call this one a success. If you like what you saw, maybe throw a like, maybe subscribe, and thanks for watching. Peace.